We will now demonstrate the Vidian Neurectomy. The Vidian Neurectomy begins by identifying and ligating the sphenopalatine artery, as this structure lies anterior to the Vidian nerve and needs to be sacrificed in order to gain access to the Vidian canal. Here we can see the orbital process and the sphenoidal process of the palatine bone making the sphenopalatine notch. It is important to visualize both processes and to remove the bone intervening between the two. Removal of this bone will allow you to gain access to the Vidian canal. Using a Blakesley, this bone can be easily fractured inferiorly, as demonstrated here. This is probably the key step to the Vidian neurectomy. Removal of the bone identifies the periosteum overlying the pterygopalatine fossa. Beneath the periosteum lies the fat. Once this bone has been removed, you can then direct your attention posteriorly to the posterior lip of the sphenopalatine notch. Removal of this bone will gain access to the posterior nasal nerve, which runs parallel to the palatine process. Here we can see the posterior bone being removed with a Blakesley. The posterior nasal nerve running in the palatovagal canal is often confused with the Vidian nerve and may explain the initial low success rate of this procedure. Using the sharp end of a sickle knife, the periosteum is incised to identify the posterior nasal nerve. And here we can see the posterior nasal nerve, which is a much smaller nerve compared to the Vidian nerve, running parallel with the palatine bone. This nerve needs to be sacrificed in order to gain access to the Vidian canal. Using a sharp sickle knife, the nerve is sacrificed, and this will allow us to gain access to the gutter in which the Vidian nerve runs. Here we can see that now that the posterior nasal nerve has been sectioned, we can use the sickle knife to develop the superior border of the Vidian canal. We can then use a sickle knife to develop the inferior border of the Vidian canal, and here we can see tension of the Vidian nerve within the canal. When performing a Vidian neurectomy, it is important to gain 360-degree axis around the entire nerve. Here we can see that once the nerve has been sectioned, we start to visualize the funnel-shaped Vidian canal. Often when performing this procedure, there may be a gush of blood from the Vidian artery, which is a branch off the internal carotid artery. This can be easily controlled with diathermy. Note that the Vidian canal runs at 45 degrees to the posterior nasal nerve. It also runs in line with the medial pterygoid plate, which is a useful landmark for this procedure. Once the nerve has been resected, it can be cauterized and bone wax can be instilled in order to prevent regrowth. This completes the Vidian neurectomy.